Hello, my dear fashion enthusiasts. I am thrilled to have you back for this new breakdown. Today, we're crossing the Atlantic to analyze a stylistic and logistical earthquake that literally paralyzed the city that never sleeps. For its Cruise 2027 collection, Gucci pulled off a cinematic masterstroke under the direction of Demna. Forget cozy salons and private tents. The Italian house took the epicenter of American consumerism by storm, taking over the very heart of Times Square. An ambitious move negotiated in total secrecy until the digital invitations dropped just a few hours before the show, throwing a spectacular bridge between urban madness and ultimate luxury. Under Manhattan's blinding neon lights, the atmosphere shifts into a retrofuturistic simulation. At 8:30 p.m. sharp, 50 multi-story giant screens interrupt their usual programming to broadcast a synchronized stream of archival footage, sunsets and galloping horses mixed with satirical ads for fictional luxury goods. We find ourselves fully immersed in a sort of open-air short film, a peak visual tension where New York's sheer scale serves as the backdrop for a collection that is, surprisingly deeply anchored in reality. To understand this collection, rightly named GucciCore, you have to look at the clothing as a filter of reliability placed right in the middle of this advertising chaos. Demna uses the absurdity of the giant screens to better highlight an everyday wardrobe of essential basics. The common thread is this desire to fill the gap left by the classic pieces that had temporarily vanished during the brand's latest artistic shifts. The strategy is clear, almost ironic, orchestrating the wildest spectacle of the decade to showcase the most timeless, accessible luxury. On the makeshift runway, the attitude carries a striking urban authenticity, tapping back into an electric magnetism that we've been waiting to see from the house for a long time. The silhouettes reclaim the street with a proud, versatile posture. The standout element redefining the frame this season is the work on the outerwear and the tailored jackets. Sharp, slightly oversized cuts that structure the silhouette with absolute precision, contrasting radically with the visual anarchy of the Times Square screens. You notice a tailored execution on the jackets that borders on perfection. That's where the manufacturing secret lies. Beneath the irony of the marketing concept hides a fiercely demanding level of craftsmanship. Take the monumental red pea coat, cut from an ultra-thick wool, the very same fabric typically reserved for the British Royal Guard at Buckingham Palace. The invisible engineering is nestled right in the flawless stiffness of this royal cloth, and in the technical construction of perfectly tailored flared trousers, delivering the quintessential Gucci silhouette. The color palette mixes flashes of red, paisley motifs, and scarf prints with raw leathers and shearling. It's this clash of textures that gives the clothes an organic, living quality, as if they were built to take on the Manhattan pavement. Skirts vary from A-line minis to mid-calf pencil silhouettes, the latter styled with a raw leather jacket to instantly break up the classic feel and give it a high-character edge, ready to live multiple lives. When you zoom in on the styling, the intimacy of the design reveals itself through bold combinations. The focus lands on extrovert double G belts syncing maximalist shirt dresses, but above all on a revolutionary casting choice. No traditional models here, but a highly eclectic, multi-generational casting instead. We see art gallerist Jean Greenberg in a hand-painted coat adorned with the iconic Flora print, painter Rory Jevis wrapped in herringbone shearling, and the legendary Cindy Crawford, imperial in a spectacular gown dusted with feathers. A deeply personal and powerful message. This wardrobe is built for real people in real life. The show's progression builds like a rhythmic crescendo, right through the crowd. We start with the precision of classic tailoring and flawless daywear, before sliding into uninhibited maximalism. Silhouettes grow more textured. The Flora prints expand, all culminating in a final climax, where the faces of this unique casting are projected endlessly onto the giant screens of Times Square, transforming passersby and icons alike into the heroes of contemporary fashion. So, of course, we have to ask the question, using one of the most expensive and media-saturated public spaces in the world to sell classic jackets and everyday basics. Isn't that the ultimate irony? Or a total marketing contradiction? This escalation of colossal resources for a collection that champions a return to essentials raises questions. Questions about the need to make this much noise to present pieces that are, at their core, discreet and utilitarian. Ultimately, what we take away from this vision is the commercial and conceptual maturity of this Cruise 2027 collection. Gucci delivers a brilliant show of force. The house proves it can master grand urban spectacle while reasserting its authority over tailoring and everyday clothing. It's the perfect fusion. The brand's theatrical DNA met with the reality of what customers actually want to wear today. I'd be curious to get your take on one specific detail. What did you think of this contrast between an ultra-hype location like Times Square and a collection centered around wardrobe basics? Does this sharp irony bring the necessary touch of modernity to Gucci? Or were you expecting more eccentric silhouettes on a runway like this? I'll be looking out for your arguments in the comments. Thanks for sharing this moment with me. To go further and sharpen your eye on these collections, always try during your next viewings to analyze the relationship between the scale of the backdrop and the scale of the garment. It's often within that dialogue that the artistic director's true intention is hidden. See you very soon for a new breakdown.